Hey guys, it's Shayla here at the Arizona Criminal Justice Commission. I am here today to talk with you about the updates to the AZPOINT service portal. As many of you are aware, we have been working on enhancements to the AZPOINT service portal over the last several months. Over the last 3 years, we've taken your feedback and we've completed as many of the requested enhancements as possible in this phase, which we've termed Phase 2. I'm really excited to share with you which enhancements have been completed thus far, and then give you a demonstration of our newly enhanced system. In this phase of the project, we have completed several items. So first, we have improved and hopefully eliminated that system slowness that many of you have been experiencing in the afternoons. This is due to a memory leak in the system, so our technical team at the AOC and our new vendor have been working really hard to remedy that issue. I think you'll all be really excited to learn that you can now edit and delete declarations of service. We've also just done a ton of data cleanup, so the system overall should be functioning just a lot more smoothly. And then finally, overall, we've just enhanced reporting. So with this, we have removed the dashboard, but as many of you know, the dashboard really wasn't functioning like a true dashboard. So we've removed that altogether. And we've added filter searches by day and the ability to print and export your search results into a CSV or Excel file. I wanted to highlight some of the enhancements that were not in scope for this phase of the project, but we still hope to complete these items in future phases. I should also note here that if there are additional enhancements that you don't see on this list, but that you think would be beneficial, please let us know. Ultimately, our goal is to make this system work as seamlessly for you as possible. So we want to add space for entering a declaration of service for when a parent or guardian is served. When the defendant is a minor, meaning under the age of 16, so 15 or younger, their parent or guardian must also be served. In the current AZPOINT system, there's nowhere for you to enter that parent or guardian declaration of service. So we want to add the space for you to be able to add that additional declaration of service entry for that parent or guardian as well. We also want to add a true dashboard with reporting metrics that would be useful to you guys as servicing agencies. The idea here is to provide you with some statistical reports. Think key metrics at a glance so that you have access to some department level numbers fairly quickly if needed. So I want you all to keep that in the back of your mind as we move forward. What metrics would you want to see? What's the most helpful for you to quickly view at an agency level? Is it the number of orders issued to you in the last week? Is it the number of orders that's been transferred to you? The number of orders dismissed? You know, what information like that would you like to see in a true dashboard form with numbers and visualizations that you would be able to access quickly? So let us know so we can make sure to incorporate that information into our request to the vendor. Additionally, a read-only role has been requested, so this would allow users to view and print documents, but not enter any information. So they wouldn't be able to enter a declaration of service or a service attempt or a transfer or a plaintiff notification. Probation and prosecutors' offices have requested this primarily so that they can have access to documents on their caseload, but they don't need any other functionality within AZPOINT, right? They just need visibility into the system so they can view and print the documents by themselves. And then finally, we want to improve the amount of time it takes to get information to NCIC. Currently, we're sending information 2 times in 2 batches each day. So 1 batch in the morning and 1 batch in the afternoon. But we want to improve that and get that as close to near real time as possible. So these are some of the items that have been brought up in the past, but I want you guys to start thinking about additional things that we were not able to complete this time around that would be beneficial for your agency in the future. So before I demonstrate the enhancements in the system, I want to briefly just remind everyone of the current roles we have set up and what features those roles provide access to. So keep in mind that each user has a role associated with their account in the system, and each specific role is associated with different permission levels. So an SA user, which is our general user, has access to search, right? In this new enhanced system, you'll see it's called Find a Case, but you have to have the defendant's name and issuing court or the full case number. The SA user level 2, that permission level opens up the advanced search. In this new system, it's labeled search cases. That is a much more expanded, flexible search. You can filter by agency, courts, date ranges, order type. So that search is just much more advanced and flexible in nature. And then finally, we have the SA administration role. So that allows access to this SA user management tool. We recommend each agency has 1 or 2 administrators. This person's responsible for managing each agency's list of users. So you're able to add a user, deactivate a user, help with password resets or account updates, any account maintenance items like that. The SA administration role is going to give you access to that functionality. So once you enter the AZPOINT service portal, this is the screen you should see. We have support center information listed here in case you need technical assistance, and then you have your standard login screen where you'll enter your username and password and hit log in. You can also reset your password on screen here as well. So after you've logged into the system, you should see something similar to this screen here. Now I want you to keep in mind that your user role dictates which buttons you should see here at the top. So if you're an SA user, you're going to see this Find a Case button. If you're an SA user level 2, you're going to see Search Cases. And if you're an SA administrator, you're going to have access to this SA User Management button. For SA users in Find a Case, you have to have the case number or the defendant's name in issuing court. Keep in mind this search does not allow wildcard searches, so it does have to be an exact match for you to quickly be able to pull that case that you need. If you have any questions about your permissions or which buttons you should or shouldn't see here on screen, please contact your agency's AZPOINT administrator for assistance. So now we're in search cases. Keep in mind if you're an SA user level 2, you should be able to see this feature here. So once you're in search cases, this is going to be very similar to the advanced search feature that you're used to using. You have a lot more flexibility here in terms of the amount of search criteria you can use. For example, you may have the case number or the defendant's name or plaintiff's name, issuing court, the agency it's assigned to, there's date ranges, plus order status and service status. A few things I want you to keep in mind before I demonstrate a few different options here for you is 1, you can always clear all of the filters here on the top right hand side, but when you hit search cases and you land on this page, this is going to default to the agency you're assigned to. It's going to automatically default to the last 30 days for that date range. And then you can also see here the service status unserved is also defaulted. If that's something you guys think should be changed, let us know. But we initially set this default criteria hoping that most of your searches fall within these parameters. But if not, let us know. Keep in mind, as a service agency, you guys have been experiencing a lot of issues with system performance, particularly in the afternoons. That should be fixed, but just a precaution, the more search criteria you enter, the quicker the search is going to go and the faster the system is going to perform. So we want to make sure we're giving the system as much information as we have to be able to pull the right case back in a short amount of time. Overall, you should see that system slowness disappearing anyways, but just something for you guys to be mindful of. So again, you have this clear filters button. It will reset the whole thing. But if you're having trouble finding a case, I've experienced this myself where I enter the case number and kind of forget that everything's defaulted down here. If that's the case, just go back to your search criteria and make sure that everything that you need is selected and anything you don't want to search is deselected. So I'll show you here, if you clear the filters, it clears everything. But I wanted to show you the wildcard search. So let's say we have a defendant's partial name, first name, but we have their last name. And I'm using test data. For the wildcard search, you do have to have 2 characters and then you can use the asterisk. But let's say I want to search the whole system, this defendant's first name, partial first name, test is the defendant's last name. You do have to enter a date. The system won't allow you to move forward. You can go back as far as January 1st, 2020 if you want to search the actual whole system. But I want to see everything with the defendant's first name of TE, starting with the TE, and their last name of test. Now when I search that, it's going to pull back all of the cases that match that search criteria. A few things I want to mention here. You do have the ability now to export. So you can, if you click this export button, you can export it into a CSV or an Excel file. You have additional filters here on the left-hand side. So you can filter by order status. You can continue filtering by dates, even order type. So if you know you're looking for an injunction, you could filter by that if it was applicable. Or if you just want to see all the orders, anything that's available would allow you to check the box. In this case, neither of these cases meet that criteria, so you can't filter by that. But if we had a list where you did have injunctions against harassment or workplace harassment included, you'd be able to select those boxes as well. We also have service filters, so you can filter based on the service status. A few court filters if you want to filter based on the case status. Let's say you want to pull all the dismissed orders assigned to your agency in the last 30 days, you would be able to do so. Your search criteria would look a little different, but let's use that as an example. So we don't want to use any names, we just want to see everything that's been assigned to me in the last 30 days. So I'm going to set my date range. This isn't going to pull any cases back because I don't have any cases assigned to my agency. I guess I do. But you would be able to, let's say it pulled back 100 cases. You would be able to then search by dismissed, expired, transfers. So you've got those court case statuses in there. And then a few things I want to point out on this miscellaneous filter options. You can filter if the defendant is a minor, so you'd be able to see which cases have a minor defendant, because as the servicing agency, you know that you have to serve a defendant if they're under 16, meaning 15 or younger. You have to serve them and their parent guardian. You can filter by missing documents. So if you want to pull all the cases that have been assigned to you in the last 30 days where there's missing documents, you could do that and then export that spreadsheet, reach out to those courts and say, hey, you know, I have this case on my dashboard or assigned to my agency and I don't have an order document. Can you review and fix it so that we can start service? So you can filter by those as well. And then another thing which was heavily requested by servicing agencies was the ability to filter by plaintiff notifications being due. So remember, as a service agency, you're required to contact the plaintiff within 15 days if their order has not been served yet. So as that service agency, you're making that contact, right? You want to see how many of your cases have a plaintiff notification due so that you could work those, go in, make those contacts, and then, satisfy that statutory requirement. So I just wanted to briefly explain kind of the additional filtering here you can do. The other thing I want to point out is you have a case number, or total number of cases, I guess. So if you pull back a different search, it'll tell you how many cases it pulled back. So I anticipate that many of you will use this. Obviously, we don't have a dashboard anymore, so you're going to want to pull back everything that's been assigned to you, in the last year or 30 days or 6 months, whatever that looks like for you, to get that kind of working list of cases. But again, here I just entered defendant's last name, the date range, and it pulled back everything that matched that search criteria. Once you see all these cases, you should have access to most of the information needed at a really quick high level. So you've got the case number, defendant information, plaintiff information, court information, you've got the service status, the date the order was issued, what agency it's assigned to, and then it's got other little badges that might call particular things out about this case. So for example, this one's dismissed, this one's missing the order. This is super high level, should be able to find a case hopefully quickly, see the required information or the necessary information at first. Obviously, for a full kind of overview of the case and a full case history, you could click into this case, and then that's where you're going to see everything, right? You can see what orders were issued. We have it was issued June 15th and then modified June 16th. You can see the PCO codes associated with each order, so you can tell what was changed in that modification. But this is going to give you obviously a much more in-depth look at the case and the case history versus the search results. We just want to make sure that we are pulling back every case that matches the criteria you set so that you can find what you're looking for and move on. So on the right-hand side of the screen, you'll see the case history box. At this level, we are viewing different information related to this entire case. So you can view or print any of the documents, view plaintiff notifications, view service attempts or service transfers. You're not able to actually enter any new plaintiff notifications, service attempts, or transfers. If you need to enter a new one of those things, you can do so on this Actions menu item here. That's where you'll go to create a new entry. At this case history level, again, we're only viewing all of the information related to the case. So if you click on View Print Documents, you've got your defendant guide sheet, your service of process information form, the petition, and the order. Now the order looks like it's unavailable. We've called it out up here. So this would be something we'd want to reach out to the court to see if they could correct on their end to make sure that all documents needed for service are available. And then the other thing I want to note, in this example, we called out that this was completed using a paper petition. So this means that the petitioner completed their petition by hand or via paper instead of going through AZPOINT. In that scenario, you likely will not have a service of process information form because they didn't use the electronic system. Just want you to be aware, if you click on this and it's blank and it says paper petition, that is why. So you can view or print any of these documents. You can view all of the plaintiff notifications associated with this case. You can view the service attempts that have been associated with this case, and the service transfers as well. So again, at this case history level, you're able to view all of the information associated with the case. We also have the defendant information and plaintiff information listed here, as well as the court information. A few things I want to note here: if the defendant is a minor, you would see a minor badge displayed here. In this scenario, the plaintiff did not choose to enroll in AZPOINT notifications, So as the servicing agency, you're required to make that 15-day notification to the plaintiff if their order has not been served. So here we can tell that the plaintiff did not enroll in AZPOINT notifications. If they did, the system would make that 15-day notification for you, but in this circumstance, they elected not to receive AZPOINT notifications, so that indicates to you as the servicing agency that you need to go ahead and make that 15-day plaintiff notification at that time. If there was an email listed here, you could use that, and if there was a phone number listed here, you could use that as well. There would also be an SMS icon, a little message icon, if it was okay to text the plaintiff at that given number. Since those are not displayed here, you're not able to do so. If this was a court case transfer, you'd see the original court's information here, or where it was transferred from, and then this would be the transfer to court. Again, this case level information, we're viewing all of the information associated with this case, but you're always going to have access to the defendant, plaintiff information, and court information, and then you can see all of the orders associated with each case down here at the bottom. On a general note, this case level information will always have the most recent documents. So let's say that an order was modified, and I'm switching to a different case here. This order has been modified several times. We can see it was issued and then modified once, twice, 3 times. So you can view and print the documents. It's going to show you the most recent order. This isn't a great example because those actual PDFs are missing, but you can see that you would be able to print or view the most recent order for service, but if you need to reference those older orders for anything, you could click on that here and see that order document as well. So again, the case level information is always going to have the most recent documents. If you need to view the original documents, you can do that here, or you can do that in each of these order levels as well. As I mentioned in the prior slide, in order to actually enter a new plaintiff notification, service attempt, or service transfer, you have to hit this actions menu here. I'm going to walk you through how to do each one of these things individually in the coming slides, but I did just want to show you at this order level here, you have action items. You can see the PCO codes associated with each order, the service status, who it's currently assigned to, the issue date and expiration date, and then you've got your actions. So you can still view or print documents, add a plaintiff notification, add a service attempt, add a service transfer, or add a declaration of service. So again, you've got your case level information here where you're only able to view the information associated to this case. You've got your action items here at this order level where you can view or add any of those items to a specific order. So we're going to go back to our modified case here. Let's say you served the original order. You'd want to come down and find this original issued order. You could enter service here on this original order, and maybe you also served the most recent modified order. You'd be able to enter service here. But keep in mind, we've got the case level information, and then we break it down by order level. In this specific example we talked about, we have your issued order down here at the bottom. You can see it's been modified 3 times, and you have the ability to complete actions at the order level in case you entered or need to enter a declaration of service, transfer, service attempt, anything like that. You can also see the PCO codes associated with each order. So you can see this was requested by law enforcement. If the PCO codes have changed, you can see what those changes were fairly quickly. So we can see in this original we have PCO code 1, 1, 4, 5, and 8. Then this was modified This is just test data, so it wasn't truly modified with different information, but you would be able to see the different PCO codes that have been ordered across the modification. So again, keep in mind case history information, we're at that case level. This is just all the information associated to the entire case, and then we're going to break it down by each order, and each order has action items available. So you can view and print the documents, enter a plaintiff notification, a service attempt, a transfer, or a declaration of service. So if you want to view plaintiff notifications that are associated with any particular case, you can do so here under this case history menu. Click view plaintiff notifications, and you can see this window appears down here. That would list out all the plaintiff notifications that are associated to this case. As you can tell, there are none listed. Let's go ahead and add a plaintiff notification. You're going to click on this actions button. This is where you can actually make a new entry. So you're going to click plaintiff notifications. You can tell now that the add button has appeared. We're going to go ahead and click on that, and now you're going to enter the standard information needed. So your name, badge number, agency information, date and time. Did the plaintiff contact you, or did you contact the plaintiff? And then when you're entering a new notification, you do have to leave a comment. So that's where you'll add any information that was provided during that contact. Once that's completed and everything's filled out, you'll hit submit. You can tell that it was successful here in the green box, and now you should be able to see the notification that was made. So you can see its date and time stamped, the comments that were made, who entered this information, what agency they were associated with, and then who logged this in. Another thing I want to note here is if the plaintiff enrolled in AZPOINT notifications, you would be able to see any notifications that came from the system that were sent to them. So this plaintiff, you can tell at the top here, did not enroll in AZPOINT notifications, so they're not going to receive any of our notifications via email, but if they did, you would be able to see everything that they've received from the system as well. Service attempts operate similarly to the plaintiff notifications, so if you want to just view the service attempts associated with a case, you can do so by clicking here on View Service Attempts under this Case History menu. You can see here that no service attempts have been entered on this case. So let's say we want to actually enter a new attempt. You can do that from the Actions menu here. So if you click on Actions, Service Attempts, you can see the history, but you can also see that this Add button has appeared. So if we click on Add, we're going to enter the required information. So name, badge number, agency, date and time. Select their address. If we have a home address listed for the defendant, it will auto-populate here. Same with a work address. If there's not one, it'll just be blank, but if you attempted to serve them at either of those, you could select that and it'll auto-populate for you. We just wanted to make it a little bit easier, and so you're keying in less information. But let's say we served this person at home, so we've got their address, or we attempted to serve this person at home. We've got their address listed here, city, state, zip, and then same with the plaintiff notifications. You have to enter a comment. So we'll enter this. And then once all the required information is completed, you can click Submit. You can see it was successfully taken here in that green box, and now it's been added as a service attempt. So you can see here the date and the time of the attempt, the comments that were made, who actually made the attempt, their agency, the address of the service attempt, and then you can see who keyed it in here as well. So if you have dispatch entering attempts on behalf of officers in the field, you'd be able to tell who actually entered it in the system versus who actually made the attempt. So just keep in mind, if you want to just view service attempts, you're going to do that here from the case history box. If you want to actually enter a new service attempt, you're going to do that from the Actions item here. So if you want to see all the transfers that are associated with a case, you can do so by clicking View Service Transfers under the case history. If you actually want to transfer the order to another agency, you have to do that under this blue Actions menu here. So we'll click Actions, Service Transfers. Now we can see this case was initially assigned to the Encanto Justice Court Constable. You can see it was assigned by the AOC. So this means that once the court issued the order, it was assigned to the Encanto Constable for service. You can see the date and the time, and then this INT indicates the initial assignment. But let's go ahead and transfer this. Let's say we made a service attempt and we learned that the defendant lives in a different city now. You'll enter your badge number, the agency that you're transferring it to, and then you do have to submit a comment. We've left this comment box open. We don't require an address, but I always recommend providing that new servicing agency with as much information to attempt service as possible. So an address is preferred, not required, but you definitely want to give that new servicing agency as much information as possible so they can begin to work the case and try to serve this defendant. But let's just say we have a new address. We found out this defendant is now in Glendale. We can enter that information, enter the comment, and then once everything's entered that's required, you're going to hit submit. And now you can see it was successful, and you can see that is in the history now as well. So you can tell that this account, my test account, I'm associated to Maricopa County Sheriff's Office for now, but I transferred it to Glendale Police Department. This is the information I provided, and this is the date and time that occurred. This TRF indicates transfer, and just remember this indicates initial assignment. So you can tell it was initially assigned by the court, and then I transferred it to Glendale PD today, June 20th, and provided them with this information. So now Glendale will get an email notification stating that this order is assigned to them for service. They can come in here and look the case up and see what information you provided for them. So as you can see here, this case is unserved. We have a service status unserved, and this case is assigned to Glendale Police Department. Now to enter a new declaration of service, you're going to click on the Actions menu item, Declaration of Service. You can see here that there hasn't been a declaration entered yet, so we're going to go ahead and click on this Add button in the top right-hand corner. Now we're going to enter all the information that's normally required. Let's say we served this person last night, their address, so we've got date, time, address, city, state, zip, the documentation that was served, did you advise the plaintiff of service. This should default based on your credentials. If not, you'll just go ahead and select this little arrow and select the correct option. The name of the person who served, and their badge number and their agency. If this was served by an out-of-state agency, you could click out-of-state and then enter the agency name there. And then if it had service fees, some constables will use this if they collect fees for service. But if it doesn't, you'll just continue with no. Then you'll review these court NCIC identifiers. These are not editable. We're required to present them to you as this is the information that the court was provided. But if you have information that's different than this information, you can add alias information. So you can add a name, date of birth, and then scars, marks, tattoos. If you add alias information, you do have to add a comment. And if you add a name, you do have to have a first and a last name. So let's say we learn that this person's name is, or this person goes by Molly instead of, let's say, Mary. You can click or add their alias first name and then just carry their current last name over. But again, if you're adding alias information, you do have to add a comment. So add some context there. You're going to check these two boxes attesting to the information that you're providing being true. You'll click submit. You can see the declaration of service was successfully submitted. The service status moved from unserved to served. We've got the served badge over here now. And we can also view the declaration of service information. So here you can see the date and the time. If you click on this, the PDF version of the declaration will populate. If not, you have most of the information needed here. So you've got the address, you know, all of this information, NCIC information. But if you want to see that PDF version, you can click on that here. I think you guys will also be really excited to know that now you can edit or delete declarations of service. So a few things to keep in mind. If you need to edit a declaration of service, anybody can edit a declaration, right? So we'd click edit. Let's say we didn't actually serve them yesterday, it was the day before, so we need to change that date. We'll go ahead and make that correction. We'll submit this again. You've got to check these boxes again. And then if you make an edit, you also have to leave a comment. So let's just say enter date just want to let them know that it was an incorrect entry, and then we'll click submit. So remember, we did say it was June 19th. We changed it to June 18th, and you can see that this service information has been updated to reflect our edit. So again, anybody can edit a declaration of service. SA administrators can delete a declaration of service. So only those with the administrator privileges can delete. But if you need to delete, you simply click this button. You add a comment or a reason why. So let's say we entered service on the incorrect case number. We don't want this case to appear as served. And you click submit. It was successful. Now you can see our whole declaration of service entry was deleted. We're now back to this unserved service status. This would get reassigned to Glendale Police Department, so they would get an email notification letting them know that this case has been reassigned to them for service. And a few things on the deletion I want to make sure I note. So once a case has been, or a declaration has been deleted, there are a few things that get updated. So first, if the plaintiff enrolled in AZPOINT notifications, they would get an email letting them know that the service was reassigned and the declaration was deleted, their case was not actually served. So the plaintiff is going to be notified, the issuing court is also going to be notified, the NCIC record is going to be updated or cleared, so it would be removed from NCIC And then, as I mentioned before, the police department would get this reassignment notification because now it's unserved again and it's sitting in kind of their queue. It's been reassigned to them for service so they could continue working this if needed. So again, a few things to keep in mind. Anybody can edit a declaration of service. Only the SA administrators for your agency can delete a declaration of service. And then just remember, as a servicing agency, you have a statutory obligation to enter service within 72 hours of service occurring. So we want to make sure we're getting service into AZPoint as quickly as possible so we stay in compliance with that statutory requirement. So anyone who's assigned an SA administrator role should see this SA user management button you can see in the top right hand corner here. Once you click on that button, you should land on this screen. So this is really going to allow you to manage your agency's AZPoint users. You can see the entire list of users that are associated with your agency here. You can create a new user. You can edit user accounts. You can push password resets or change their password for them. You can also deactivate users here. Again, this SA user management button is only visible to those with the SA administrator role. We recommend that each agency have at least one, if not two, users with those administrator privileges so that you can easily manage your list of AZPoint users. So that is all from me for today. If you guys have any questions or concerns, please feel free to reach out to Lloyd or myself. Our contact information is listed on screen. But I just want to take a second to recognize and thank our partners at the AOC. They have worked tirelessly to ensure that these enhancements are completed. In addition, I'd like to just thank all of you for not only watching this video, but just for everything that you do. We know AZPoint has come a long way, and I'm hopeful that with each iteration and each phase, it continues to get better and better. And your feedback and your thoughts and insights are a large part of that. So thank you for everything. And again, please don't hesitate to reach out if you have additional questions, concerns, or feedback for us. Thank you.